Welcome back to Terror by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, so we got some news updates from Wisconsin. There was a court case that was brought before the Supreme Court about redistricting. Basically, that the state's legislative maps are gerrymandered to hell and back, and the Supreme Court met on this issue, and they ordered that the map that was used in the last election is unconstitutional and ordered new lines to be drawn for the 2024 election. This was a 4-3 decision. This was helped by the fact that Wisconsin, a few months ago, elected a liberal judge to the Supreme Court in a runoff against a very conservative MAGA-type judge. And not only does this help with women's rights and abortion and things like that, it also helps undo the gerrymandering that's gone on. Now, the Republicans were saying they wanted her off the case. They were going to try and impeach her. They're saying that she was clearly biased in all this. But at the end of the day, they realized that despite all their bluster, they couldn't actually do anything because she hadn't done anything wrong. And now the justices have ruled on it. I'm assuming along party lines because it was a 4-3 vote and there's 4 liberal justices. And why would the Republicans give up power willingly? Just to put it in perspective, Bo with the Fifth Column was talking about this today. I caught a video of him where he was saying Trump won Wisconsin by like about 10,000 votes back in 2016, and Biden won Wisconsin by a similar number of votes in 2020. So in general elections, it's very close to a 50-50 state between conservatives and between Republicans and Democrats. And, again, it's a toss-up between Trump, toss-up between Biden. They have a Democratic governor, which is a statewide election. But the Republicans hold a super majority in the Senate and a vast majority in the House, which shows you how much the gerrymandering is impacting the ability for the Democrats to win elections, even though they have half the population of voters. They hold less than a third of the seats, or something akin to that. Anything else I want to throw on that one? There was one other thing I'm forgetting now. But anyways, I want to throw on the one conservative who's the Chief Justice of the court basically said that this case was only brought forward because this liberal judge was elected. And the folks that brought the case said, no, this case was brought forward after the last maps were ruled on, and we saw what they were, and they're unconstitutional, so we brought this next case. It just so happens that a new Supreme Court justice was elected that ruled in our favor. And that was the other part, is that part of the Constitution in Wisconsin says that the states need to be contiguous. And these aren't. There's, our states, the counties. And you'll have like a county outline, and then there's like some other random dot here and there to be included in the county. And that's how the Republicans are condensing Democrat votes into a few districts and giving themselves the majority in the majority of the districts. And that leads to extremism, folks. So come on down. The ruling is that they need to come up with new maps. And both sides can draw maps, and it's going to be reviewed by, I'm assuming, a nonpartisan council. What's the energy around Wisconsin and their electoral maps? Okay. We are now in the process of redrawing them. Back to the drawing board. These are the engineers with their maps, and they have to go to the arbitrators with their maps, and then the rulings are done. What's going to be the challenge? The Queen of Cups. Basically, the top was blown off with the gerrymandering. The Republicans basically gerrymandered till they had a supermajority. And I guess it's one of those things that you have to, if you're going to cheat, you got to cheat only a little bit. You need to cheat so that you have like 53 to 55% of the seats when it's a 50-50 state. So it's not really obvious. But in this case, they cheated with both hands. And now all of a sudden they have 60, 65%, such that Wisconsin was basically deemed the most gerrymandered state in the union. And that's not something you want to be in winning. That's not a prize that you want. Not only do you not want that, it calls a lot of attention. So again, the top was off on their cheating, and now the lid's being put back on the Queen of Cups. They have to seal it back down and go back to what should be close to a 50-50 state. These changes are going to happen quickly. It's basically, Wisconsin is going to go from a state that was ruled by the Republicans. They could override a governor veto, to basically a contested 50-50 state in 2 years' time. One election cycle. They did it to themselves. In the past, we have the Ace of Pentacles. I would imagine there was a lot... trying to keep the money out of it, but politics and money seem to go hand in hand these days, right? There was a lot of value to be had in the way that they gerrymandered, in having a Republican majority and a Republican supermajority in the Wisconsin Congress, because you can now get all your legislation moved forward. So anybody who was backing the Republicans was going to get their money's worth. So pretty much for the Republicans, their biggest concern was going to be the primaries. It wasn't against their Democratic opponents, is because again with the gerrymandering, they were going to win their district 55-45, regardless of who the Democrats put in there. So a lot of money was going to come in and was going to support the Republicans. It becomes a vicious cycle. I mean, you can throw money at the Democrats, but if they don't stand much of a chance of winning, it's kind of money wasted, Now things are changing. The big money that came in before to the Republicans, now that money's going to have to be split pretty much 50-50, because the money that's coming in is going to have to hedge their bets. They're going to have to look at this next election and understand that while it was easy to pick the candidate with the R next to their name over the candidate with the D next to their name in a lot of these counties, that's not the case anymore. Now you have to look at this election in an all new way. A lot of incumbents are not going to be reelected. They may choose not to run for election. Or they may not be voted in, but a lot of people are going to be leaving the Wisconsin Congress because of this decision. Look at that. There's going to be a wild, drunken hillbilly brawl. But this election cycle of Wisconsin is going to be vigorous, to say the least. Because for the first time, for a lot of these counties and districts, the Democrats have a fighting chance. And the Republicans, they're still going to get primaried, because there's going to be a bunch of MAGA people that are going to run against a bunch of less MAGA people trying to get the Republican nomination, because usually that's the shoo-in for winning that county, that district. But now they're going to actually have to fight the Democrats too. So now the Republicans might actually potentially become less radicalized, because they have to, at least the party as a whole, is going to have to look at candidates that are electable, because they don't have the gerrymandered district to shoo in their candidate. The choice of candidates on the Republican side now matter. Outcome is a big burden. I think it's going to be a challenge to get fair maps, and it might take a couple of tries to do that. But I also think that all the wealth and the power that the Republicans were enjoying, it's going to be almost impossible for them to maintain that power and the wealth that comes with it. Change is coming. Change is coming fast. The night, the cavalry is here. Justice has arrived, and they're going to force change on the Wisconsin gerrymandered maps. All right. I could end it right here, but there's, shall we ask some obvious questions like, oh, I don't know. Will the Republicans rely on... Basically, what do I want to say? They're not going to put their best effort in trying to ungerrymander these districts. And then I imagine they're going to go the legal route. I'm assuming what happens if the maps are not drawn by a certain date, they will probably have some nonpartisan panel of judges or something like that draw the districts for them. But maybe what I want to ask is, will the Republican majority in the legislature actually do the right thing and draw up mostly non-gerrymandered districts? They're going to cheat, right? Well, there's no incentive for them to get it right the first time. None whatsoever. So how is this going to play out when as they do this? Is this going to be something that actually comes from the Republicans in the legislature, or is it going to have to be something that comes from outside? It's going to be something that comes from the outside. But the Three of Wands, this is like the fire card. It's the foundation of this. It's waiting for your ship to come in. So this is giving the legislature an opportunity to do the districting and just waiting for them to do it. And they're going to delay, and they're going to do a really crappy job, and then they're going to delay and not change much when they're told to change things. They're going to drag their feet, basically, on this one. Let's just do it as a four-carder. Yeah, because winner takes all. They've got the super majority right now, so they're used to making the rules and doing whatever they want whenever they want. And when you have a legislature that's like that, what happens is the candidates that run for that legislature, because of the gerrymandering, become more extreme and less compromising because they got elected because they were extreme. So once they're in the House, they don't compromise. So you're going to have a Republican legislature who's not used to compromising. It's winner take all. I hold all the swords. You guys can go pound sand. The Page of Cups. Yeah, and just kind of like, you have to look at the districting and redo the districting appropriately, and they're not going to want to. It's just, it's like, it looks weird. What do you mean? What's wrong with the districting the way it is now? We love it the way it is now, and nobody complains about it. I mean, everyone doesn't sound like somebody. Everyone I talk to says these districts are fine. No one complains about this. Don't know where you're getting your information from. Yeah, and they've stolen elections. They want to continue stealing it. So they'll put stuff forward that looks like, hey, how about this one? They still hold a supermajority. They're still stealing seats. And in some ways they're kind of regressing. They're trying to say like, oh yes, we're trying to move forward, but it's so difficult to do. Clutch your pearls, everybody. And the courts, after maybe 2 or 3 times, probably after 2 times, they might say, you know what, we're running out of time and we're not going to give you a third shot at this. And I think they're going to probably appoint some nonpartisan counsel in there to fix it. Will it be fixed 100%? Probably not. And that's the problem, is that this is the same thing we ran into, was it in Louisiana? Where they had to make another black district, and they did basically everything. Or was that Alabama? And basically did everything they could in their power not to do it. There's so much gerrymandering that it's going to take a while to undo all of it, but this is going to at least push Wisconsin closer to a purple state that it actually is. And they can maybe start fine-tuning those legislative districts over the 2024 and 2026 elections, and stamp out that gerrymandering, or at least get enough Democrats elected that maybe they can actually get some stuff done in the legislature. Anyways, so looks like things will be done. It's going to be done kicking and screaming, as you might imagine, with tantrums and everything else, and it can't possibly be done, but it'll get done. All right. Thank you for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Back from vacation over in Mendocino, refreshed, recharged, and ready to go. Thank you again for supporting my channel and doing everything you do that allows it to feed the YouTube algorithm so it reaches out to a wider audience. To new viewers and new subscribers to the channel, welcome. Glad you found us. Hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.